As a boy, KIKUO KOJIMA was regularly abused by his foster parents because of his polio. In 1960, aged 18, he was admitted to a psychiatric ward at Nakai Hospital in Sapporo, where he was beaten, given electric shocks, and forcibly sterilised.
I remember what the nurse said clearly. Mr. Kojima, you have schizophrenia. You have a disability. People like you should not have children.
KIKUO's lawyer has medical evidence showing his scars are consistent with a sterilisation and that he does not have schizophrenia. But Nakai Hospital says few old records of sterilisations exist and they can't confirm if KIKUO was a patient.
It really is the government's fault. I just didn't know that they were to blame. They stripped us of this right to live.
KIKUO is just one of nearly 25,000 Japanese citizens sterilised in a policy that aimed to eradicate disabled and mentally ill people. Enacted after World War II, the government justified its so-called eugenic protection law because the nation was struggling with food shortages and people like KIKUO were seen as a burden on the economy. Clinics across Japan advertised their ability to perform sterilisations under the law, but the majority were performed against the patient's will. Until very recently, signs like this one were one of the few reminders of forced sterilisation. Now victims are speaking out and demanding compensation. Japan stopped sterilisations in 1996, but YUMIKO Kobayashi says those with mental illnesses still face social stigma today. Her centre helps them find jobs. Despite introducing quotas for disabled workers, Japan's government admitted this year they had dramatically inflated their own employee numbers.
The government itself is not following the regulations. There are some people who get extremely angry about this. Disabled people will think they can't work if they see this.
In a country preparing to host the next Paralympic Games in 2020, the prejudice continues for the 7 million Japanese living with disabilities. Drew Ambrose, Al Jazeera, Tokyo.